on the darkness, stare down deceit. Murder in the headlines, justice in the beat. From cold case whispers to killers in disguise, we rip off the mask, expose all the lies. Facts like bullets reload and deliver. Truth cuts deep like a blade in a river. Corruption shakes when the mic goes live. We dig where others won't survive. James rolling through the smoke. Truth hits hard, no time for a joke. Deceit, murder, we name every name. No restraint, no shame, just flame. Locked on the case, we investigate.
This is 12 Gauge Investigative. Let's jump
you'll ever need. 12 Gauge Investigate. We make them bleed. No games, no censors, just truth. Justice is loud, and we're the sound. This is 12 Gauge Investigative.
Woke up in the silence, heart bruised by the fight. Shadows on my pillow, echoes of the night. But grace like thunder whispered through the pain. You are not forgotten, I break every chain. I've walked through fire, I've cried through storms, but in your mercy I am reborn. From tears to honor I'll rise again. No more a victim, I stand in Him. He lifts the weary, He heals the scar. With every heartbeat He mends the heart. From ashes I will find my flame. By the power of Jesus' name. Every cruel word carved deep in my soul, but truth rewrites.
All right. I had to play a little bit of, I don't know what you would call it, some holy water to fly off of me. Because that what I just watched was just a little much. Oh, I just got something from somebody. I guess I'll put it up here. Well, hi JB, hi Rondi, how y'all doing? I was watching The Night Stalker, and we had quite a few people in there. I just had to play that little bit of music to kind of ward off the bad spirits for real. You know, let's see if I can find what was just sent to me. Well, this isn't exactly it, but I can talk about it. Because you know how I love to talk about documents, right? And we're talking serial killers, so this dude is one, so why not talk about him? What y'all think? You think Bryan Kohberger is a serial killer? Maybe not a serial killer, but a killer indeed, right? A killer indeed, a killer indeed. Welcome. Once again, my name is 12 Gauge. Welcome to my channel. Hope everybody who's in here tonight enjoys the live stream. He is a killer. A killer. Let me make this a little bigger so you guys can see it. But where did I go in that? Can y'all still hear me? Yeah, I believe you, Mountain Mama. I really do. I believe he would have been one of those people that we would have been talking about for sure. All right, cool. Let me get to the document and start reading it. It says, the order denying request to video record sentencing proceedings and approving pool still photographer. It said a live stream of the sentencing proceedings will be provided by the court on its media streaming account. So that is the Idaho District Court. Therefore, the various requests by media to be present to video record the sentencing proceedings are denied. So they're not going to allow any media in the room. To ensure the quality of still images are available, the court will permit a pooled still photographer to be present at the hearing. The Associated Press, having requested still photography access, it will be permitted to provide each coverage as a pooled media resource. The permission to provide such coverage is contingent on the AP agreeing to act as a pooled resource for such photographs, with all media requesting copies of any images taken in the courtroom. The photographer may only take photographs from the location within the courtroom assigned to them by the court personnel. Photographs may not be taken or published of any victims or members of any family members of the victims. Photographs of the gallery, the attorney, work product, including any screens or papers at counsel table, may not be taken. So there it is in black and white, literally. So they can't take pictures of the surviving victims. They can't take pictures of the family. They can't take pictures of any of the paperwork on the tables, and they must only be where they're assigned. Oh wow. We just had somebody give us a comment about Nina on one of my lives that I did earlier. Wow. Oh well, at least she didn't think my stuff was boring, so sorry, Nina. And this says sealing exhibit state's response to defendant 24 supplemental request for discovery. Based upon the state's motion to seal exhibit S1, state's response to defendant 24 supplemental request for discovery, filed herein is exempt from disclosure and is sealed pursuant to Idaho Court Administrative Rule, Idaho Code 74-125 for the reasons stated in the above motion. So this is probably something that they're going to seal before the dissemination order comes out. And that's the next one that I want to show. Let me see if you are seeing that one. Dang, you aren't seeing nothing. Let me share the screen. Hey, Leslie and Billy, how are you? This is the one somebody just sent me. I think it's in his or her name is Unravel. Let me shut some of these because I'm getting confused. It says notice of hearing, motion to vacate non-dissemination order via Zoom. Notice is given that the above entitled case is set for July 17th, 2025 at 10:30 a.m. Stephen Hippler. So in 3 days, we're going to have a hearing about the dissemination order to vacate it. This is a remote hearing that will be held via Zoom. The clerk will send out the Zoom invitation prior to the hearing date. So we probably won't be prevalent to type of information. And that's all I have on that. Wish I had more, guys. But if you don't know um, who the Night Stalker was, and you have Netflix, and you weren't in my Discord to watch it, you need to go watch that series because there's a lot of stuff about these cases that that is not shown on these YouTube documentaries. It really isn't. And that's interesting to me because, we think we know a lot about the case, but then you get into a documentary or something, and then you learn so much about the case. Hey, Michelle, long time no see. I did all 3 series. I did 2 series, probably 3 episodes last night, and one tonight. We concluded it tonight. So if you have Netflix, go check it out. You need to watch my community post to be able to not miss any of these things that I'm showing lately, because there's a lot here on YouTube that I can't show. They'll copyright me and all that really quick. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's a YouTube movie and 2 detectives are protested. It's good. Yeah. See what Michelle had to say. Yeah, the Night Stalker almost didn't get caught. This composite drawing was way off. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Isn't that wild that a 13-year-old was mindful even back then to get part of his license plate number? Isn't that wild? So that 13-year-old was mindful enough to get that license plate. But if you have never watched anything on Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, he makes Brian look like a kindergartner, honestly. If we would have had social media back then, the Night Stalker would have been all over it because his crimes were awful. They were awful. And there was no real victim demographic. It didn't matter if they were young, old, male, female, child. It didn't matter. He didn't discriminate. And that's what made it so hard is, that's what made it so hard because even back then they were fighting amongst each other. One of the detectives, Detective Gil Carrillo, was quoted as saying that, you know what, this is a one-man show. It's a one-man show. And everybody was going against him. No, there's no way, blah, blah, blah. But still, the one thing that kept popping up that I noticed in this docuseries is the footprint. Richard was leaving footprints all over the place. And the flower beds, he was leaving them on concrete. He even kicked an alarm clock so hard to rip off the cable from it, he left a partial print of his foot on that alarm clock. And it turned out to be an Avia running shoe. And back then in 84, 83, 84? I think it was during the summer months of 84. That Avia shoe had pretty much just came out. So, for them to be looking for a specific shoe, and the inventor of the shoe was located in Portland, Oregon. They had to fly up there and ask him certain things, certain details. He gave them the demographic of the shoe. They got the billing reports, all that stuff. and they were able to narrow it down where only one Avia shoe was sold in Los Angeles. One was shipped to Los Angeles. Only one pair, a black Avia shoe. I thought that was sensational. Even back then in the 80s, they were doing cop work that was so substantial that they were able to narrow this down. It may have taken them a little while, but like with Brian Koberger, they caught him in what, 6 weeks? When you look at the Night Stalker case, it took them almost 184 days, I think. 6 months or so. Wait, yeah, no, it was longer than that. It was almost 190. I got to go back and look. If anybody knows, type it in the chat. I was paying attention, but I was doing 500 other things. So hey, Brian Ramblings, how you doing? Welcome to the chat. So when it came to the Night Stalker, this individual was very transient. He was hard to capture because of his transient lifestyle. The ability for him to be able to be one place and then be gone. You know what I mean? Oh no, I was talking about Brian Koberger. Yeah, BTK was 31 years. That was a big one. All his acts were so random and methods of his crime. And we will talk about these killers as well. Thank you, Brian, for that. Golden State Killer, 45 years. I mean, these were some individuals that were doing their deal for a very long time. Do you know how long it took them to catch the Unabomber? It took forever for them to catch the Unabomber. You lived in LA during the Night Stalker. He freaked out the city. Yeah. Were you freaked out? I mean, were you a younger man during that time? I'm not saying that you're old by no means, but that was the 80s. I mean, they had just had the Olympics and everything else. And I remember hearing in a book or reading in a book where the nights were so sweltering hot that people would leave their windows cracked so that they could get a breeze. You know what I mean? So can you imagine once this guy starts breaking into homes and starts creeping in windows, all of a sudden you got to sleep with these windows shut. One of the victims or potential victims stated that they had a window painted shut, right? Her husband was a police officer. She was sitting on the couch watching TV, and all of a sudden she hears the window open. The window that is painted shut. She calls to her husband, and he says, "Call the police." And then he realizes what he just said. He said, "Oh, I am the police." So he grabbed his gun and went and looked around, and out in the flower bed, there was a Via. I think they said it was a size 12 shoe. So can you imagine how back then you have somebody running around killing all types of people? Oh, one thing that you never hear about on YouTube is that he was abducting young children, assaulting them, and then bringing them back. I never knew that about him. And then I watched this and I was like, holy shit. He's abducting young children, molesting them, assaulting them, and then dropping them back off. He's a very evil man. Or he was a very evil man. He's dead now, which he died in prison. He didn't even meet his execution date. I think he died of cancer or something like that. So There's another one that I premiered earlier, and we talked about Elliot Rodger. We've talked about Elliot Rodger more than once on this channel. We talked about Elliot. We talked about his traits. We talked about his personality. We've talked about all the stuff. And to me, it's interesting how, looking back on Elliot's case, you look at it in a different light. Yes, he did get married in prison. You're right, Leslie. You're right. But there was a lot of female groupies. I mean, they were sending him some very descriptive photos. That's a phenomenon. I'll talk about Elliot here in a minute. I'm not jumping around, but that's a phenomenon in itself. It's how individuals become celebrities when they are serial killers or even killers or suspected in doing certain things. It's almost like it brings out the groupies. It brings out the groupies of these men, and they have such admirers. Like Leslie just said, they want to marry this individual. They want to, they want to put money on their books. They want to do all this stuff. And they're so infatuated with the fact that he is famous and no other reason. Let me ask you, chat. Hey, Walt Harris, how you doing? Let me ask you guys this. Exactly, Mountain Mama, exactly. Let me ask you, but while I have it on my mind, if you knew that this individual who you were crushing on had killed all these types of individuals, assaulted little kids, all these things, tell me, would that turn you on toward wanting to be with that person? Can y'all answer that in the chat? Thank you, Michelle. If I remember correctly, it was liver or kidney failure. Okay. Groupie for him was weird, and as soon as to be his wife, I think was a juror, but could be wrong. And Michelle says, hell no. I mean, Brian Koberger has admirers left and right now. I'm sure even Richard Allen with this old ass got some admirers. It doesn't matter what they look like, how old they are. People see that they have this propensity to be famous. Well, they want to latch on to that. 5 years ago, a car thief crashed his car in a chase. Let me put this up here so I can read it. 2 blocks from my house, 50 cops flooded the area. I told the cops, check my backyard, canyon. They ignored me. He was hiding there. Oh, damn. Brian? Damn. I hope they ended up catching him. Mountain Mama said, no, it would not make me want to marry him. I wouldn't want to be in the same room with him. I don't blame you. Even in the Hillside Strangler case had a few groupies. That'll be another one that I'm going to live stream over there on my Discord. So if you are a member of my Discord, be looking out for that, because I can't do that here on YouTube. But what I've been doing is I'll be showing those over there, and then I go live and we come over here, and whoever's over there, we come over here and discuss it. If we get enough people over there, then I'll just stay over there and we'll do a live over there and discuss it. You get what I'm saying? So I know a lot of people don't like Discord, but if you have the capability to get Discord, add my server. I put my link down in the community tab all the time. So why don't y'all do that? Hillside Strangler. I saw that there was 2 of those individuals in the Hillside Strangler. Is that not true? There was two people, not just one, and he was an ex-cop, wasn't he? I turned on my floodlights and he ran to the neighbor's house, tried to enter her slider door. She ran into the street, then all the cops came running with the dog to let the dog bite him. I don't blame them. That case was weird. Hillside Strangler was one pair of serial killers. Yeah. I can't imagine that, Brian. It looked like back then sliders were very prevalent, like the slider doors, because on a lot of those on that docuseries, what I noticed is he was going in a lot of slider doors, you know, and it's just crazy. I don't think I'll ever have a slider ever again. If I, once I buy a house or, buy another condo or whatever, I'm not getting a slider unless I'm living on the fifth floor. You know what I mean? Because those things just are so easily to break into. And you can't tell me that they're not because they are. So the Hillside Strangler was actually two people. Two people. I don't know that case very well. I mean, the car thief was not in a stolen car. He was recognized by a patrol unit, and then the chase began. I owned a body shop. Oh, one owned a body shop and the other was his cousin. Okay. So the gist of it all in that case, they would kill their victims and then obviously strangle them, if I'm paraphrasing this correctly, and then throw them over the side of the hill, right? And there was a lot of them. There was a lot of them. I mean, Los Angeles was a hotspot for serial killers for a very long time there in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, dumped them in plain sight. I think I remember reading, um, I think it was the Hillside Strangler, where these little boys were playing or riding their bikes at the end of the street, and one of these guys had killed. Maybe I'm mistaken this case with something else. But they had killed her, threw her over the side, and the little boys found her in L.A. Yeah, it was in Los Angeles. I mean, you had Manson during that time. You had Richard. You had Bundy was even in the area a little bit. You had a lot of people killing in that vicinity. So you can't just. I mean, if you've ever listened to me read Dr. Bricato's The New Evil book, um, you understand that there's different levels of evil. There's not just one evil fits all these people. There's different levels of evil, and they all have their own classification. Michelle says Angelino, Bana, and can't remember the other. Bianchi, yeah. Green River Killer, you're right. Um, I think the Hillside was late 70s. I think like 77, 76, somewhere like that. Um, then there was Kemper, you're right. So think about living in that area during that time. You get one car, and then there's all of a sudden another one starts killing. And they all became famous, the Green River Killer, man. That dude. Henry Lee Lucas. God, the Green River Killer. That dude was killing prostitutes, right? He would drive around and pick up prostitutes and then kill them. These are just famous ones. What about the ones you didn't hear of? You're right, Leslie. You're right on point with that. Yeah. Because there's more than we even know of. The Gainesville slasher, yep. I mean, and kind of like Bundy, he was all over the place, man. He was in Washington State, he was in Colorado, he was down in Florida, escaped. He was all over the place. I heard he was in California a little bit. Maybe not as far as LA, but he was in the northern portion, which all that is pretty much close together. So if you think of all these people, oh, those two guys that I did that freaking Charles Ng and I can't remember that other guy's name, but they were ex-military and they were abducting people and killing them. I can't think of the other guy's name. Yeah, the smiley face killers as well. Do y'all know the other guy with Charles Ng? I can't think of his name right offhand. Let me see if I can pull that up. Charles Ng. I can't think of that other dude's name. Maybe that's not even his name. Maybe it's something else. Do y'all know who I'm talking about? I did a video on both of them. They both somehow got together out of the blue and started killing people. It's like they both were in the military. They met up, I think, at a halfway house, and then they like bumped into each other again, and they built a torture chamber, and they were abducting people. I'll show you it because this case is really show you a little bit of it if I can find it. That's the thing about my videos. It's like I need to go back and rebrand them or something, put different pictures up. These two were bad. I cannot think of that dude's name. Maybe somebody typed it already. One was Asian, the other one was white. I wish I could delete the Idaho 4 stuff. I thought that it took it off your videos. Come on, are you kidding me? And sometimes they don't even show you all your videos when you're looking. Let me see if y'all typed it in. Leonard Lake. There you go. Thank you, Rondi. Thank you. Toybach Killer. Yes. Same person in person was clearly on the loose. Max Smith, Green River Killer was Oregon, Washington. Yeah, Leonard Lake. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Yeah, I was on another screen. I didn't see it. Yeah, those two were terrible too. I mean, we got Murdaugh, we got Eileen Warnose, we have all these people, Stephen Stearns. I mean, all these people, they might not be every day talked about, but to kill one person is to kill. Let me ask y'all a question. And I've asked this before, so I'm going to ask it again. What do y'all think about, who is your primary suspect in the killing of Ellen Greenberg? Do y'all have any kind of suspect in your mind of who could have killed Ellen Greenberg. She was the individual that was found with the knife in her chest. Her boyfriend supposedly went to work out. Oh, I forgot about Stephen McDaniel. Um, he supposedly went to work out. Then he came back. The door was latched. He broke the door. He found her with a knife in her chest. Who do y'all think killed her? You think her boyfriend did it? Walt said, I lived across the border in Lake County, but I have had family that lived in Burlington. Ed Gein. That was that dude that Buffalo Bill was. That movie, right? How horrible is their crimes when it's used as several movies such as Ed Gein? Yeah, that's right. I won a parade there once they were throwing out Nestle candy. The boyfriend. Do y'all even know the case I'm talking about? The Ellen Greenberg case? It's cold right now. I mean, because the boyfriend was the primary suspect, but they could never find any definitive DNA or any kind of fingerprints or anything in that house. Um, well, it's in my library. Y'all go check it out and let me know next time y'all are on who you think would have been the killer, because that case is really hot. It is one of those cases that supposedly the coroner ruled her case as a suicide, but she had gaps in the back of her head post-mortem. So, and then she was found with a knife in her chest and she was covered up. And it looked like she was peeling fruit before she was attacked. How about the Candyman case from years ago? Yeah, the investigation was a bit sketchy. Y'all need to go check it out. There's a lot of videos in my library that y'all get bored. Y'all need to check these cases out because they're interesting, man. They're interesting. It's not going to bore you. If you can sit through one of my lives like this, you can sit through one of those replay crews, because there's plenty of cases that I've done other than Idaho. So how about the Candyman? That was based on a real story, right? The Candyman movie was based on a real story. Supposedly there was somebody abducting little boys and killing them, right? Something like that. And Cabrini Greens. Isn't that where that happened, Michelle? Cabrini Greens in Chicago. And they made that into a movie. Hell, that movie scared me whenever I watched it. Yeah, Poison Kids. Don't you dare say his name 3 times, Michelle. We don't want him coming through the damn screen. How about all the murders at Lady Bird Lake? You're so right. You're so right. That's another one that's in my library. If y'all want to go check out the Lady Bird Lake case. All that I know about the Lady Bird case is there's a lot of individuals that turn up dead, supposedly not far from Rainey Street, which used to be a hopping little street with all these bars, and there's like apartments and condos that go along the lake, and there's a trail. And I think last counted there was like 32 bodies. 32 bodies have been pulled from that lake, and one female. But did a Chicago trip to see a famous play in Marsh's paint factory. I've never been to Chicago. I've always wanted to go. But as far as the Lady Bird Lake case, or Lady Bird Lake, The police have often just stated that it was just accidental drowning. I have family ties to one of the victims, and I've also interviewed him. His interview is in my library if you want to go check that out. I tell you guys, I've done a ton of true crime videos that were not on all about Idaho. There's a lot in there. So if you get bored and you want to binge watch some cases, go check them out in my library. Well, my favorite team's the Chicago Bears, so and I like the Bulls. So I'm a Chicago fan. I've just never been there. I do want to go one day, maybe attend a game. Maybe I can talk my girlfriend into going with me. She loves to travel. I don't know if she's ever been or not. I haven't asked her. But I like Chicago. Let me ask you guys a question in chat. Do you think strangulation or the what are those things called? The ligature, where you stick something through a rope and you turn it. Do you think strangulation, you die quicker with strangulation or with the other one? Garrett, yeah. You should go do Green River Killer and get an interview. That would be awesome. So y'all think that would be quicker than strangulation? Where are you going with that question? I was just thinking about that as far as strangulation. I mean, because a lot of women have been strangled. That's the method of their killing. Because I'm trying to think of the killer's reasoning for strangling them versus kind of that individual. I can't think of the clown, Pogo the clown. That's how he would kill his victims. Would put the Garrett, and just tighten it and watch the life go from their eyes. It seems stronger than using their hands. Yeah. I didn't know he was from Chicago. Damn, that would be awesome. Yes, depends. Takes a lot of pressure. They have to be strong. Killer can watch their faces. Yeah. I heard they tore down the Dahmer apartments. The tallest building in Milwaukee had done this first Wisconsin building. I was waiting for a bus to school during construction when a guy jumped from the. Jesus, you've been around some bad stuff. Yeah, his house was bulldozed down. I would have liked to seen that apartment building. And Gacy's house has been remodeled, but it's still on the same block. I might have to go check that out. Take my girl with me. Be like, we're gonna go see Pogo the Clown's house. He was another one. He was another one that whenever he was caught, he didn't think it was a big deal. He said in his interview that he didn't believe that it was against the law for him to have a cemetery under his own house. Is that not disgusting or what? Yeah, Dahmer's house was bulldozed. I watched that. That might be something that I show on the Discord too. It's the Dahmer docuseries. That was disturbing on so many levels. Dahmer apartment complex is vacant parking lot. Okay. That was disturbing on so many levels. So many levels. So Dahmer was the cannibal, right? He was the one that would keep the skulls and all that stuff in the freezer. He was the cannibal. Okay. Okay, Walt. Gacy's was torn down for sure. Was on TV back in the day. You know the YouTuber Bob, the defense attorneys, Outlying Bob. He daddy with John Wayne attorneys. He had so many tapes. And he even wrote a book. I didn't know that. I was on the other side of the street. The tarp was over him when I got to the bus stop. Cold winter day. When they tore it down, people were cheering. I bet they were. Can you imagine living in this neighborhood or even living in Dahmer's building and smelling the decomposition? Remember they said that in, I don't know if you've ever seen any documentaries or any docuseries or whatever, but they've always mentioned that stench of death. And I remember them talking about that in Dahmer's docuseries about that apartment always had such a pungent odor. The same thing with John Wayne Gacy's house. And he said that it was a sewer problem. But he would have young boys from his construction company digging holes, almost like digging their own grave, so to speak. And he had so many boys under that house. And he would take them down there through a crawl space. I can't imagine living next to a killer, much less an infamous one like these. They found all those air fresheners. Was that in Gacy's or was that in Dahmer's? I worked 2 blocks away, but years before he was living there. Okay. Too taboo, and people didn't want the notoriously known house left to remind them. I can't imagine those people that buy those homes, like the Watts home. Somebody bought that home and is living there. What's his name? I know her name was Shanann. What was his name? Bad plumbing and a butcher shop next door to that one house where women were kept in. Yeah, that was the Grim Sleeper. Dahmer's, okay. Chris Watts. Yeah. They bought that house. There's people that have bought that house and live in that home. Yeah, there's another one that I've done. His name is the Grim Sleeper. And he used to take women, rape them, and kill them and keep them in the home. And he lived right next to a butcher shop. And there was also a pungent odor coming from his home. And he blamed it on bad plumbing or the butcher shop. So if you ever start smelling stuff on your block or whatever, you might want to call the police because you just never know if it could be something really rotting in your home. There was another one in Los Angeles. He was killing prostitutes. And I can't think of his name, but he was killing prostitutes. It was a black guy. He had a moniker also. There's so many. There are so many killers. And these are the ones that, we find on YouTube. These are some of the ones that that have been infamous enough to make it to YouTube. Like Leslie said, think of all the ones that never have been spoken about, have never been revealed one way or the other, and nobody knows about them. Anybody know it? Anybody related to any famous killer? Sunset Strangler. Yeah, you have to video on that black guy. Yeah, he would pick up prostitutes, take them back to his house, take pictures of them, and shoot them in the head with a 22, and just dump them in alleys and all over the place. It was very vicious. And he was well known in that community. Besides my best friend, Bundy, that's enough. You're right. Where were you that day, Leslie? I mean, how did you not end up in that scenario? I feel bad for your best friend. I mean, that's terrible. But how were you not with her? Son of Sam had everybody scared back in the day. You know, there was rumors that O'Brien was interested in the son of Sam. Hey, Texas, you stopped hitchhiking. Okay, that might have saved your life. So tell us the story. She got picked up by Bundy and he killed her? Tell us the story, Leslie. We're all ears. Samuel Little, that's his name, killed 90 women. We're talking about serial killers, Texas. We're just talking about how vicious they are and stuff like that. You don't want to talk about it? That's fine. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine. If you ever want to tell your story, that's fine, Leslie. We support you. We really do. I can't imagine. I think Bullets was talking about being in the area where when some of these people were active. I think she said the Green River Killer, maybe the Hillside Strangler. It would make you not want to trust anybody. I remember back when I was a kid, we used to hear about certain vehicles that are circling schools, and that was the most fear that we had, that we were gonna get abducted. But as far as knowing about all these killers, I didn't have a clue. Because I was born in 71, so a lot of these killers were around when I was 13, 14 years old. And like I said, there wasn't no internet back then. I've been thinking maybe none of the parents should make any statements in front of that asshole because he's going to get off on it. Of course. She went for pizza with her dad. He was the police chief for Misville City. Okay. I saw with my brother BTK home after he was arrested. Again, they soon tore it down. Oh, so his home's been tore down also? That was another scary one. That was another scary one. I think that I put the scariest serial killers on my intro. Jesus. Bind, torture, kill. We haven't even talked about the Zodiac killer. That dude. The Zodiac killer? That's another docu-series that's on Netflix. And they think that they figured it out who the Zodiac was or is. That's another one, Zodiac. What do you think happened? Do you think these people just one day snap? Kenneth McDuff was a sorry one. He's sitting in a Dorado, Kansas State Prison still to this day. How about John Muhammad and John Lee Malvo? Always wondered how families could live in the Amityville house in Long Island. No joke. I haven't heard of John Muhammad or John Lee Malvo. I'll have to look them up. Like I said, I wasn't really into true crime until the end of Gabby Petito. Right as Gabby was ending and Idaho was beginning, that's when I started really diving into true crime. I thought true crime was kind of like the Harlequin romance of, whatever. I wasn't really into it. She asked him if she could stay and hang out, and at first he said no, but she said, please, I'll meet friends and come home. I believe it was 9 or 10 days later they found her beat up. Blue was, wow. I'm sorry to hear that, Leslie. The Beltway snipers. Dahmer started with animals and moved up to people. The Fayette murders were strange back in the day. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. The guys shooting out through the trunk of their car. Yeah, that was in Washington, D.C., right? Stuffed with rocks so no one else could have her. That's what Bundy told her dad. Wow. That's fucked up. Excuse my language, but that's messed up. That is messed up. Wasn't Dahmer's mom, what do you call that? Taxidermist or something? That's how he learned how to preserve the body parts? Agreed. Amazing how they evaded law enforcement so long. Or am I thinking about the eyeball killer? There was one killer whose mom was a taxidermist and taught him how to stuff the animals, and he learned how to sew. I think that's either Dahmer or the eyeball killer. One of those two. That's sad that we know so much about these killers, bro. The eyeball killer was here in Texas, and he was the one that was killing prostitutes and cutting their eyes out. Ed Gein did that too. They believe she left the pizza place and was hitchhiking to friends, but they don't know if he got her, offered her a ride before she hitched, or he got her while hitching. We all told 3 weeks. I remember back in the day, hitchhiking was a big thing for people. Here's another question for you, chat. Do you believe that a lot of these murders that are unsolved along these small towns or these towns where they're never really solved, like the Gary, Indiana case, do you believe that there's serial killer truckers more than what we've heard about? Wasn't there one in Dallas that was removing? Yeah, the eyeball killer. Do you believe that there's a lot more serial killers in the trucking industry than we know about? Yes, Ed Gein had a home full of furniture made from human skin and also a human skin dress. Ed Gein sounds twisted as shit. And I know that I read his story in Dr. Bricato's book, but I just don't remember a lot of it. I'm going to have to go back and listen to a lot of that book. Before not to do it, more 3 of us hitched to the mall, got into a big black car. Shawnee, our other friend, pushed me into the middle of the front seat. Melissa was in the back, and Shawnee got door with no door. I believe that too. I believe that there are a lot more serial killer truckers, that a lot of these towns like Gary, Indiana, where Emma Baum went missing. I believe that sometimes they get picked up, they get murdered, dumped somewhere, and nobody is ever able to really either find the body or put who could have done it. You know what I mean? I think there are killers that are truckers. You're right. Yes, truckers run cross country, easy access to victims and dumping places. So I'd say, yeah, trucker could be more than we know. This is true. I've done a couple of series on some famous ones, but like you guys have said, these are the ones that we know about. Yeah, Israel Keys. That's another one. I forgot about him. I always forget about Israel Keys. I don't know why. He went the wrong way. We couldn't jump because Melissa was in the back and I'd leave a friend no matter what. So we just started screaming and crying. He finally pulled over and said he hopped and talked. They're always on the move and very self-contained. Happy Face Killer Kenneth Jasperson was a trucker. I didn't know that. I did not know that. I know there's one that would like handcuff people. He picked up a pair of kids, drove the boy out to the middle of the desert, shot him, kept the girl for like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks, then ended up killing her. I mean, it's just tragic, man. But you know what? Evil is all around us. We can't ever deny that for sure. I saw I saw a case today where this guy killed his girlfriend because she was texting another guy. I've seen that interview. I just can never find it when I'm looking for it. Taught us a lesson. We ran as soon as Melissa got out. We ran to Shawnee. Never hit again. Melissa was gone 3 weeks later. We should have been with her. Damn, if her dad never talked to us again. Just go to show us humans we can have two sides. Yeah, Michelle, that's so true. And I've talked about that as well. Not only with Koberger, but with a lot of people. You know, we do have that chameleon side and we do have the presentation to fit in normal. Hey, I'm a trucker waiting to unload now. I ain't no cereal. Yes, Happy Face was out of Washington State. Well, hey, Henry Dog. Thank you for being here, bro. But do you agree that there could be a lot of serial killers out there in the trucking industry? I like that dog you got out there. Pretty boy or girl. Thank you for being here. I've never seen you before, but thank you for stopping in. My neighbor across the street from me shot and killed his brother. We grew up together. Yeah, not all, but some truckers. That's true. I mean, the ones that I've heard of are are a little thrown off. It's not. I mean, just like the serial killers and the killers that we see, you could tell that there's something wrong. There's something wrong with them. We've seen this Volkswagen around school, but just never really paid attention. You know, never going to happen to us. Exactly. What kind of dog is that? Is it a lab? Looks like a lab, kinda. Looks like a loyal dog. Man, I wouldn't approach your truck with that dog there. I bet you I bet you got some stories to tell, don't you, Henry? Bet you got some trucking stories to tell. My one of my good friends was a trucker, and he's told me some stories. He's a Roddy Pit Mix. Okay, good looking dog. Good looking dog, and thank you for being here. Where are you at right now? I mean, what state? You said you're waiting to load up. Oh, to unload. What's your 20, buddy? I can't spell his name, but that Mexican guy that traveled. Okay, it's a railroad killer. Forgot about him too. But to be honest, we have serial killers who were politics, medical field. Very true. Henry, my old man, works for night transportation. Oh, you're in Portland. Okay. Heard that's a pretty good town. I mean, it's pretty vicious. That is a hell of a mix, for sure. A Roddy with a pit? I bet he is a mean one. Oh, yes, I know, Knight. Um, my buddy used to haul for Ruan for Target. He did that locally here in Texas, but he used to drive for Swank. I don't know if that name is pretty well known, but he used to drive cross country for Swank and stuff. He said he used to deliver sugar down to New Orleans. Portland's getting bad. That's what I hear. That's what I hear. Yeah, I used to have Chow Timber Wolf Mix. They come in all shapes and sizes. Ronnie says, be careful, Henry. Portland is a bit scary. My ex father in law worked for an express trucking. Okay. You know, I thought about getting my CDL out of high school, but I never did. I don't know what changed direction in my life, but I thought about being a cross country driver, you know? Bro, thank you. You didn't need to do that. Thank you. Man, we appreciate you more than you know. Whatever it is that you're hauling, we appreciate you and need you more than more than you know. Thank you, bro. Thank you. 12, is that Reunion Tower? Yes, it is. That's Reunion, and that's the Dallas skyline. Well, I hope that you have a safe trip wherever you're going, Henry. You're more than welcome to be in there anytime you wish. Anytime you wish. 30 years. $30 trucking, man. That's awesome. Well, let me ask you a question, Henry. What do you think about these trucks that are driven without a man in them? Do you think that will last very long? Because I know that I saw this article where they were saying that they're testing them on the route from Dallas to Houston on 45. They don't have anybody in the cab. It's just strictly driven by itself. Do you agree with that, or do you think that that's just a load of hogwash? What do y'all think? I mean, I'm asking Henry, but what do y'all think? You think that that's the way of the future? Or you think they ought to stay away from the trucking industry? If you come through Utah, there's a lot of construction here, so be careful. I-80 eastbound. Thank you, Henry. Self-driving vehicles are going to end up going bad. The trucker saved my life, Henry. Got involved in a situation and he helped me. I know a lot of good truckers, man. I know a lot of good ones. My hubby says they need to stay away from non-drivers. I agree with that because, I mean, they're supposed to like be more efficient. They can drive longer. There's no limitation, all this crap. But yeah, they can only go so far and they're expensive. Yeah, you're right. I don't agree with it, or self checkout folks are losing jobs. That's a good point. I think a whole lot could go wrong with a self driving truck. Yeah, I really dislike the idea of self powered vehicles. Yeah, I agree with you. You're from Utah. Okay. I'm from the great state of Texas. Have you ever been here? Been through here? Too much room for error and mistake technology. Yeah, I'm in Utah, Lake Pint, Point, right before Tui. Man, it's a small world. See how we just connect to people and we don't even realize it. I really like that dog picture, Henry. A Roddy Pit mix. I thought it was a lab. I was in Utah once, went to the Pitt versus Utah game in 2010. I'm in the great land of Oz. Yep, I'm in Texas. You're right about that, Leslie. I mean, newer is not always better in my eyes. It really isn't. I'm trying not to, JB. I really am. But I was having withdrawals. That little dog won my heart over in 3 weeks. Used to work out of Fort Stockton, hauling oil. Okay. So yeah. I bet that job wore you out. That they work a lot of hours, man. I'm not far away from that pit, but it's a great big pit now. JB, that little dog that I was house sitting, my parents were gone and I was taking care of Cricket. And I couldn't sleep the first night she was gone. I'm man enough to admit this. I could not sleep worth a damn because I got used to her being in the bed. I guess it's a good thing because my girlfriend and her be like doubling down who's going to sleep next to me. You know what I mean? Mountain Mama says nothing like a dog. You're very true on that. I was never really a dog person till Cricket won my heart. I don't know. I'll loan you Rip. That'll break you. Yeah. Henry, wow. My hubby's parents live in Stockton. Bought my Polaris four-wheeler down there from Stockton. 12 gauge, you need one plus there for security. Well, she acted like she was my dog for 3 weeks. she acted. I mean, I can still go and visit her, and my parents said, you could always take her for the weekend if you want. She's a lot of work, but it makes you really appreciate another living thing other than yourself. It helps you not be selfish, I guess. That makes sense. And like Henry said, loyalty, she is very loyal. She could be mad at you 1 second, you walk out, you come back in. It's almost like she has amnesia. Starts loving on you again. So a lot of these serial killers, man, there was a story I saw one time where they were talking about the Pacific Northwest, how that was a haven for a lot of serial killers. The indigenous women that go missing in that area, you know. Yeah, cricket got me up every morning. Yeah, they're a lot of work. You're right. But I was wondering about that if the indigenous women and kind of like that little girl that we were talking about, the Pike girl, if they were picked up by somebody with malice intent and disposed of, just kind of like what we hear about these killers that just roam these towns looking for their prey, and it's so sad. It's so sad that you could just be living your life one moment and the next moment you cross paths with the wrong person with malice intent. And it's so sad to hear about most of the time. It really is. My dog would let them steal the whole house blind, but not the kitchen. I like that, man. I like that, Michelle. Don't you get near my food, right? That's hilarious. But I mean, I think there's a lot more about the indigenous disappearances that we know about, and it's not really covered a lot by a lot of people in the true crime community. I mean, there's a lot unknown. That's what makes it so hard is they're here and then bam, they're gone. Kind of like that one guy that um was roaming I think it was the I-30, no, I-20, no, the I-10 killer. There was a guy that was roaming that interstate up there in the Pacific Northwest, and he was killing people, and they couldn't catch him. I can't. I mean, I saw a documentary. It's called the I-10 Killer, but it's out of the Pacific Northwest. He said, "Yes, I was raised around Seattle area. I know somebody killed by the Green River Killer. Never knew she walked the streets." Wow, I'm sorry to hear that, bro. The Green River Killer was a piece of trash. What was his name? Was that Greenway? No. Danny Rowland was the Gainesville Ripper. So was it what was his name? The Green River Killer. What was his name? Just enough attention for indigenous missing. It's shameful. Yes, it is. Bundy stalled his death sentence by helping law to find the Green River Killer. Gary Ridgway. That's his name. Wow, I didn't know that, Michelle. That's an interesting fact there. I bet a lot of these prisoners lend their services to law enforcement. Well, I'll help you catch this guy. This is what I would have done. This is what I would have done. Gary Ridgway. Man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's almost my bedtime. Got to get up early. But once again, I've appreciated it. And if you want to become a member of the Discord, it's free, doesn't cost a thing. Just go to my community page, click on the link, and add on up because a lot of the people that are in this chat are in the Discord as well. Y'all can have conversations any time of the day. And I do show a lot of things that I can't show on here. Henry, thank you so much. May you and your dog be safe on your travels. And once again, thank you for the donation and thank you so much for what you do for a living. Without you, we wouldn't have anything. May you be may you be blessed and may you be safe on your travels. And watch your six, all right? Y'all have a wonderful night. Maestro, cue that music.